if there are any people waiting in the lobby. It shows me the message. Okay.
I have unmuted, Mahesh.
Yes, okay, now I can hear you, madam. So,
Okay.
yes. I'm
Now we
sorry.
call.
I mean, last time I had to kind of leave in between. I mean, it was very sudden because I was in the hospital and then the range was gone. So, anyway, so, but I think we can start today. And I request Professor Bhate to start today's session. She has already conveyed us the message that she is going to read some sutras which are relevant for understanding the Chandra portion, which is in this chapter. So I request Professor Bhate to now start today's session. So over to Professor Bhate.
Thank you, Mahesh, and hello. The number seems to be getting less and less as we are proceeding towards the end of this course. It simply doesn't matter. Towards the end of the last last session, we were reading the rule Kugati Pradaya, as all of you remember. And I was just reading without taking note of the time. And then Talat suddenly interrupted me saying that it's time now to wind up. And we could not finish the rule. So I propose that we finish the rule 18 Kugati Pradaya today from the Samasa section. And then I proceed to the rules dealing with Gati Saudhya from the first Adhyaya, fourth pada of
Yes.
Ashwadhyayi, and we will read Kashika on those rules.
Yeah.
And as I said, all these rules, they have a bearing on
Right.
which will be Chandra.
Yeah.
So, to begin with, Kugati Pradayaha, I already explained some of the points about this rule. But let me once again summarize the whole thing which I said. Ku, Gati, and Pradi. These are the three words, maybe you can call them three groups of words, about which he talks of Samasa in this rule. And Ku is not mentioned anywhere as an Avyaya, but since it is mentioned here, we have to accept that it is an Avyaya. Then Gati forms a separate group of Avyayas. Pradis also belong to the category of Avyaya, but they are again an independent group. And if Talat can show you the paper which I had sent her for display.
Yes, madam. Yes.
Talat?
Yes.
Because paper, I have shown how these four categories, Nipata, Gati, Nipata, Upasarga, and Gati. And of course, Avyaya, though I haven't mentioned it, I also mean Avyaya. They are interrelated. And all this I want to show because I want all of us to understand where exactly do Pradis stand. Because Pradis, as you will find on the paper, they belong to the category of Nipatas, they belong to the category of Upasargas, and they also belong to the class of Gati. And above all, they belong to the larger class of Avyaya. So when the Sutrakara refers to the Pradis, and when he simply says Pradis, Pradayaha, without mentioning their any special feature, whether they are Avyayas or Nipatas or Upasargas, we have to understand from the context to which category they belong. And as we proceed, we will discuss this, but at the same time, let me summarize or put some summary of these four rules, saying that Pradis, when he mentions Pradayaha, he also wants the pradis to represent the larger class of avyayas, the class of nipatas and gati, but not upasargas. At least as far as samasas are concerned, that you will find as we proceed further. Sometimes pradis are mentioned only as nipatas. Sometimes they are mentioned, they belong to both the categories, gati and nipatas. And sometimes only avyaya. So it seems that they are entitled to take advantage of any one of these four classes, depending upon the expressions in which they appear. I make a very brief reading of the whole thing. I'm sure those who were present last time, they have understood this passage. And if anything is still not clear, kindly let me know and I will explain it right away. नित्यमिति वर्तते कुशब्दः अव्ययं परिगृह्यते गत्यादिभिः साहचर्यात् न द्रव्यवचनः उगतिप्रादयः समर्थेन शब्दान्तरेण सह नित्यं समस्यन्ते तत्पुरुषस्य समासो भवति कुः पापार्थे कुपुरुषः गति उररीकृतं यद उरी करोति is in no way connected with this rule ugati pradayah because it doesn't form any compound. Pradayah durnindayam dushpurushah swati pujayam supurushah atipurushah and apingalah. Again regarding this compound apingalah, Kashikakara doesn't mention the meaning of a as he does in case of earlier pradis, swati and dur. He gives a meaning, but for a he doesn't give. And when we compare this samasa a pingala with the other one a baddham, which is mentioned at the end of the next paragraph, then we can infer that a here means a ishat, a ishadarthi. So a pingala means slightly pingala, variegated. Prayikam chaitad upadhi vachanam anyatrapihi samaso drishyate. So this, the meanings which are mentioned here, they are not to be taken as an obligatory category, but these nipatas or pradis, they are compounded also in other meanings, and thus we have poshnam, kavoshnam, kadushnam, again in a different sense. In kupurushaha, ku means papo, that is evil, whereas in these three expressions, kushnam, kavoshnam and kadushnam, the derivations of which I have mentioned on the paper, you can go through them. In all the three cases, ku means ishat, and this meaning we can get in one of the rules which teach different substitutes for ku. So I have mentioned the rule Ishadarthecha from 6th Adhyaya, where the substitute ka is taught for ku. And there he mentions the meaning Ishad. In other cases, though the meaning is not mentioned, it is understood because the next rule is 63107. So the same meaning continues there. So kava ushnam, kavoshnam, kava is another substitute and kad is a third substitute which is taught by the rule koh kat tat purushechi. And thus we have three samasas with ku conveying a different sense, that is ishat. And even then the samasa takes place because prayikam chaitat upadhi vachanam. Similarly, in case of atistutam, the word ati or the particle ati does not convey puja as recorded in the commentary, in the Kashika. And here, I think I have already mentioned it in my last session, it is very surprising to find that the commentaries say that it is karma pravachaniya, ati, whereas you will find in one of the vartikas which are mentioned later, karma pravachaniyanam na samasaha bhavati. But here there is no other way to explain this compound atistutam than to consider it as a karma pravachaniya. And this karma pravachaniya saudhya ati gets by the rule atirati kramane. Probably I have mentioned it in my paper. Yes, atistutam, you can see on the paper. Atirati kramane cha. So ati is called karma pravachaniya when it conveys atikramana, going beyond. And this is the meaning understood from the nipata or particle ati in the compound atistutam. Then we have abadham. In case of abadham, again commentaries they cite the rule ang maryada vachane, which gives karma pravachaniya saudhya to a, and they say atra maryadayam ang. Nyasa says ang kriya yoge maryadayam va. So kriya yoga, we don't find any kriya yoga here, though baddham is there, but kriya yoga doesn't actually convey any meaning. So if we have to understand that maryada is the meaning of a, it is very difficult to interpret this compound abaddham. Well, I have failed actually to interpret it. If any one of you can give me the explanation, you are welcome. A as gati conveys, I think, is it A which conveys maryada? First of all, A is not at all included among the nipatas. So it is absolutely outside the cane of this rule. It is neither gati, it is nor pradi also. I have checked the list of pradi and I don't find it is mentioned among the pradis. If you can find it out, please let me know. So A you can call just as an nipata, but even in the list of chadis, I did not find A. Where I found A is only in the karma pravachaniya section. And yet among the grammarians, this karika is famous. All of you know it. Ishadarthe kriya yoge maryadabhi vidhauchayaha etam atam nitam vidyat. And vakya smarana yoho ange. So there are two A's, nita and angita. And nita is used in the sense of ishad, kriya yoga, and maryada as well as abhivid. Which of these senses is intended in this compound abadham is not clear, but we have to accept it as a samasa with a in the sense other than ishat, which is presumably intended by Kashikakara in the samasa a pingalaha, which is mentioned earlier. Though Kashikakara doesn't give any state any meaning of a at that place. Anyhow, and then begins this section of pradi samasas, as they are traditionally called. So pradayo gatadyarthe prathamaya. Pro etc. are compounded in the sense of gata etc. with a word ending in nominative. So Padamanjari.
Just one question. Sorry to interrupt, but when this karika says that I is used in the sense of kriya yoga, then is it not that it is used as a upasarga, right? That means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so,
here, upasargas.
But you said that it is not included in the pradis.
I didn't find it. Can anyone look into the list of pradis?
But then we have all this agachati and so on. So this a which we use is not a pradi?
It has to be there.
Yes, I'm a bit surprised. Anyway, so I mean, in this sense, because I don't see any other way to interpret this a in Abaddam. I mean, if you're not taking it as a Ishadartha.
Mahesh,
Yes.
of course, is there.
Yes. Yeah. So then this Abaddam, should be simply taken as a upasarga added to Baddha, or what?
Yes, it can be taken as an upasarga here, but as you find all these examples, they are not with verbal derivatives. Ugati pradayaha samarthena subantena samasyante. And in case of and even in the pradis, the participle meaning is attached to the pradi, and it is supposed to be hidden in the vritti.
Right.
As you know, vritti vishaye gatadhyartha vrittayah pradayah gatitva bhavepi pradigrahanena samasyante. So the general tone of this compound, which is taught by this Ugati Pradayah, doesn't seem to be allowing a compound with upasarga, of an upasarga with a verbal form. You just check all these examples. We will read them further. And of course, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I can then probably see two possibilities. One is one possibility is maybe is this a wrong reading, some mistake, Abaddam. I mean, is there? That's basically first one. Or the second one is is the word Baddha used as like Anna, for example? It's also a past participle, but then it is kind of a lexicalized. It has become a noun. So we can have a compound like Kadannam. So maybe Baddha, I don't know if it is lexicalized in that sense. And then can we have a compound with Baddham in that in this case?
Actually, what I wanted to point out was not this, not anything about this Baddha participle, but they insist on the meaning of Am as either Kriya Yoga or Maryada. And I think in one of the commentaries it is said it is Maryadayam Am. In that case, what would be the meaning is actually the question. If we want to stick
in case of Maryada, because we already have the rule in Avyabhava section, right? So where we, have compounds like Apataliputrama and so on, we have already seen them. So, now if you take Maryada, then we already have a rule which can probably supersede the present rule being a more specific rule. So I don't really understand how we can have a Maryada sense with A here in Abaddha and treating it as a Tatpurusha but not as a Vibhava. That is problematic. So I don't. Which commentary is that which says like this?
Sorry?
So in which commentary it is said that it is in the sense of Maryada, this particular compound?
It is Nyasa. Nyasa mentions both. And one more thing, Nyasa does not cite the Pratika as Abaddham. It says Aviddham. So that is yet another special feature of this compound.
Yeah, so it seems then that there is some kind of problem with the manuscript tradition here. I mean, with the text itself. Otherwise, I don't really understand. But still, I think with A as a Maryada in the sense of Maryada, I mean, compounded here as a Tatpurusha would also be a bit odd, isn't it?
You know why they want to make it confined to these meanings is because they want to mm, show that this ang belongs to the category either of gati or of nipata, perhaps. Because if we take it in the sense of, say, upasarga, perhaps it could be used in any other sense. I mean, I propose another meaning, asamantat. Say, abaddham samantat baddham. That is bound on all sides. Because quite often is used in the sense of samantat from all sides.
Yes, that's true. Dragomir, you have to say something?
Yeah, I perhaps I may add something to this in the Chandra tradition at least. And in the Upasarga Vritti traditions, we have several Upasarga Vritti versions. And in the Chandra version of the Upasarga Vritti, which may have been even the original one, we have certainly Ang as a Upasarga with altogether 28 meanings, and the last meaning is Maryada.
So,
Unfortunately,
28 meanings.
Yes, we have prapti, ichha, bandhana, bhaya, vakya, shlesha, abhividhi, sadhya, krichra, adikarma, grahana, nilaya, samipya, vikriya, nimantrana, nivritti, ashir, adana, antarbhava, spardha, abhimukya, urdhva vismaya, pratishta, nirdesha, shakti, and maryada. These are the 28 meanings according to the Vimshati Upasarga Vritti, which I edited several years ago. And unfortunately, in the examples, exactly the example of the Maryada, there is a textual problem. And in the way it is transmitted, the manuscripts read something like Irad Vardhanat Sampannach Shalayach. This is the example which we find in the manuscripts. In another parallel Upasarga Vritti text, I have the example Vardhamana Nishpannach Shalayach. And also Akanya Kubjam Vrishto Devaha. And also Abhaktih Dukham. I mean, this is a treatment in the Upasarga Vritti texts. Apart from this textual problem, it is simply interesting, of course, that we do have Ang with the meaning Maryada in any case. So perhaps this reference in the Nyasa is based on something like some of these Upasarga Vritti texts.
No, it's okay. But now that all these meanings are with you, Shantipriya, may I suggest that try to find out one of these 28 and fix it with A in Abadha and give us a good meaning of this Samasa Abadha. Because Maryada doesn't seem to be actually fitting well with this, isn't it?
Yeah, we're in a very unfavorable situation that even the example itself, Abadam, seems to be not so stable. If now the Nyasa is actually reflecting something else, like Avidam, which you said, it's now questionable whether the reading in the editions which we have, I'm seeing here the Osmani edition also has Abadam and no readings concerning this Abadam. So one needs to study, of course, better the manuscripts and also the Nyasa manuscripts until we get some certainty. It's a textual problem.
Do we have anything parallel in the Chandra here, Vritti or Panchika for this example, Abadham, or do we have the same?
Chandra, we have yet to read, I think. In this from Samasa section, we haven't read that too. We'll be reading it after we finish with this gatis, because all these gatis are mentioned in this.
Yeah, but I mean, just to I mean, since we are actually stuck with the problem here, can Dragomir or Churjan can quickly look into the examples?
Yes, appears in Chandra. Kadharana and Abadha. Both of them are found in Chandra. And in Nyasa, as I said, it is Avidham.
Sorry, Wayne Chandra, I lost now the is it in 223 or 224?
24.
24, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Abadah, yes. Okay, so we need to check. I don't have. I have to open now the manuscript and check it. If I find something, I'll let you know. I would suggest to continue, and if I find something, I'll interrupt you.
Okay. My only feeling is after I read rather after I read this section, is that some of the meanings which are recorded and also the particles recorded here, they are outside those listed among the meanings of gatis, and A is one of them. And maybe we can find a few more also. Which means that beyond the scope of this rule, Ugati Pradayaha, we also have some samasas with maybe upasargas and sometimes with only with some nipatas, quite likely. So Kugati Pradaya is, you can say, it is prapanchartham. It refers to the larger group of samasas with particles. But there are some which are beyond the scope of this rule, I feel. So Pradayaha Gatadyarthe Prathamaya, and I read out to you this explanation given in Padam Manjari. It says Vritti Vishaye Gatadyartha Vrittayaha Pradayaha. So the meaning Gata, etc., they form a part of the meaning of the Vritti, that is Samasa. And he further says Gatitva Bhavepi Pradigrahanena Samasyante. So we don't need to have a direct mention of Gata in the compound, but we understand the meaning from the compound. So Gatadyarthe Pradayaha, and therefore the Vigraha, the analysis given as Pragataha Acharyaha Pracharyaha, and further Pragataha Antevasi Prantevasi. So Gata is a part of the meaning of Pro itself, according to these commentators. And then, yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. Just to convey the bad news, we do not have the Panjika on this particular sutra because the Cambridge manuscript is incomplete, and at the end of 223, the commentary is no more available with 4 folios, and we continue with 237, and that's the only available manuscript to us for the section 2.2. So no way right now to check what Ratna Mati has said about this Abadha, if he has said anything. So we have only the Vritti in the Chandra case and manuscripts in Tibet, in China.
But in Moggallon Panchika, about the Abadho, he said that Suttu Badho.
What is it?
Sir.
Can you speak a little louder?
Deepak, can you please repeat, Deepak?
In Moggallon Panchika, Moggallon said that Abadho means a Suttu Badho.
Suttu Badho means what?
So Moggallana takes it in the sense of Sushtu Baddhaha, Abadhaha.
Mm-hmm. And there is some probability that this explanation is based on Ratna's explanation.
I think there is nothing another explanation about it. Then next example is A Isadatheti is next example. Idi imina. Idam imina. Udaharanena Vyabicharinam.
Ishadarthe we already have.
Yeah. So no, he's just saying that this example is different from the example in the sense of Ishadartha. So therefore, I think he interprets this as Sushtu. So and so that might be the tradition which they got.
Okay.
So Abaddha means Sushtubaddham. But still, I mean, the problem will, I think, still remain, right? I mean, because this is still a past participle, and how to explain the compound. I mean, so it is not in the sense of Maryada, but I mean, he takes it certainly in the sense of Sushtu. Yeah. Anyway.
Maryada and many other. Any one among these 28 meanings which Shanti Priya mentioned.
But Sushtu doesn't fit to any of these, as far as I see, unless you can somehow interpret one of them. Interesting. Yeah. The problem remains to some extent.
Moreover, what I feel about these Pradi Vartikas, Pradaya, Atyadaya, etc. Perhaps some of these Pradis, even Atyadis, Avadis, etc., they appear here in all these lists in their own identity, as perhaps only as Nipatas, at the most sometimes exceptionally as Upasargas, as Mahesh proposed in case of Abadya. But since their meanings are not found in the list of the meanings in the rules given defining Gati Savnya, so Pradis, Atyadis, Avadis, etc. Perhaps they belong only to Pradi category and not to Gati category. This is again yet another impression which we get after reading the examples. Pragata Acharyaha, Pracharyaha, Prantevasi, because Gati is always Kriya Yoga, and there is no Kriya Yoga in all these words, though in the Vritti it is there. Pragataha. Then the next one is Atyadayaha Krantadhyarthe Dvitiyeya. So Atikrantaha Khatvam, Atikhatvaha, Atikrantaha Malam, Atimala. These examples are already known to all of you since you have already studied part of Samasa section, maybe from Siddhanta Kaumudi, Laghu Siddhanta Kaumudi, or some other text. And these examples again, Atikhatvaha and Atimalaha, they cannot be really interpreted beyond the meaning of their constituents. Avadayaha Krushtadhyarthe Krutiyaya. Krushta is derived from the root Krusha, Vadi class. And Krusha means to yell, to call out in a shrill voice. And it is here now, it is Kokila. Kokilaya ahutaha, says Balmanorama. Avakrushtaha Kokilayaha Avakokilaha is interpreted in Balamanorama as Kokilaya ahutaha.
I think we have a good background music for your talk with the Kokila.
Yes.
Really,
It's
I think probably
absolutely
understanding
synchronized. It's wonderful.
Yes. It's really our Krishtam Kokila right now.
Really great.
I think the Kokila stopped. He embarrassed with this. I don't know. Yes,
Sorry, I'm
okay.
sorry. I want to ask you something. How do you translate the word Pracharya?
Sorry, I couldn't get you.
How do
Please.
you translate Pragata Acharya Pracharya?
Yes.
So because
It's a question.
Sharma, yes. How do you translate this word? According to translation of Sharma, Pracharya as he who has excelled an Acharya, but some other people translate this word as excellent Acharya. So
Excellent.
which is better? Which is correct?
if you consider the usage of the word pracharya, it refers to someone who is superior in hierarchy, who is superior to acharya. Acharya is just a teacher, and pracharya, maybe you can compare pracharya now. In India, pracharya, the word pracharya is used to refer to the principal, the chief of the college, chief of the school. So he is the head teacher, you can say.
We have pradhyapak, don't we, in India?
Pradhyapaka, yes, is one category. Yeah. So you can say Pragataha, Adhyapaka, Pradhyapaka, of course. So now here, at least in Maharashtra, I don't know about other states, but in Maharashtra, a school teacher is called Shikshaka and a college teacher is called Pradhyapaka. And the principal of the college as well as the principal of the school, they are called Pracharya. So this is Rudhi. But etymologically, Pracharya can mean Chojun. It can mean an excellent teacher because Pragata implies this kind of advancement in knowledge.
Interestingly,
Okay.
in Maharashtra, Shikshaka means teacher, but Prashikshaka does not mean excellent teacher. It
Well,
simply means a trainer.
Prashikshaka means a trainer of the teachers, a teacher of the teachers.
My Hindi teacher in Sofia was pradhyapika.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. अवादयः कृष्टाद्यर्थे तृतीयया अवकृष्टः कोकिलया अवकोकिलः. So the same old wrong myth continues throughout Sanskrit literature that Kokila has that sweet voice, which is wrong, as you all of you know. It is a Kokilo, so it should have been Avakrushtaha Kokileno, Avakokila. But even then, what exactly does it mean is not clear. Why is someone called out by a Kokila? And that also Krushta. Kokila can never call anyone in a shrill voice. Kokila can never yell out. I don't know how they connect Kokila with Krushta. So we have to accept it as it is. Avu Kokilaha, and then further Paryadayaha Glanadyarthe Chaturthaya. Chaturthya. Pariglanaha Adhyayanayo. Glana means Shranta. This is how they paraphrase it in the commentaries. Paryadhyanah Pariglanaha Adhyayanayo ityarthaha, says Nyasakar. But in one of the commentaries, maybe Siddhanta, because I have recorded this meaning as Shranta. So Adhyayanena Shrantaha is the meaning of Paryadhyayana. One who is tired of study. But then how to explain Chaturthi? Because Adhyayanaya would mean Adhyayanartham Pariglanaha. Adhyayanartham Glanaha. So that is again a problem before me. How to explain Chaturthi? Adhyayanartham Pariglanaha would mean something different. So he is so tired that he cannot study anymore. So for Adhyayana, he declares that I am Pariglana. I am Glana or Pariglana. So, we have to find out a
Yeah, I mean,
good,
this Chaturthi is something like, I mean, it's difficult, but kind of, should we treat it as a kind of a Tadarthya Chaturthi or what? I mean, because
I
what else?
did mention that Tadarthya, Adhyayanartham Pariglana.
Mm.
But even then, what would it mean?
Yes.
Would mean adhyanena hetuna, because this chaturthi is used in the sense of hetu.
Hmm. Hmm.
But then adhyanena hetuna parishranta, well, distantly it would mean that he is caused to be tired by his study. Something like this. Adhyanena hetuna parishranta. Well, we have to accept it as Rudy, and
Yeah. So that would mean then, I mean, he has exerted himself a lot for the sake of study. Something like
yes, adhyanena hetuna parishranta. Yeah, but finally, there is a cause and effect relationship between adhyana and glana, isn't it? So he is tired. Why? Because he has done a lot of study and no more study he wants. But is that the meaning really intended here, or he?
No. What I meant
is
was
quite
that he
study?
has exhausted himself. Maybe he has taken lots of effort to get some learning. I mean, to maybe for the sake of study, he has taken lots of efforts, and therefore, I mean, he has made himself exhausted. I mean, he has exhausted himself for the sake of study. Something like this. Otherwise, I don't see how we can understand this.
Padmanjari says
त्याने
parishranta.
अभ्यासासाठी स्वतःला झिजवलं आणि फार हे केलं, परिश्रम घेतले अभ्यासासाठी असं काहीतरी.
परिश्रान्तः अध्ययनार्थम् इत्यर्थः. So again, adhyanartham parishrantah. How to construe is again a problem for me. Adhyanartham parishrantah. Adhyanena parishrantah can be easily understood, but for adhyayana he is parishranta. So does it mean that he wants to avoid and he says, "Oh, now I am tired. I don't want to study anymore," even though he is not tired. As boys and girls nowadays, they tell their parents. Chalo. All right. Pariglanah adhyanaya pariyadhyanah alam kumaryai alam kumari. So we don't have any galana meaning here. Alam means a match, suitable, perfect, fitting. So alam kumari means someone who is quite fitting for the girl. So he might be someone who is trying to fix a match with some girl. Alam kumarihi. निरादयः क्रांताद्यर्थे पंचम्या निष्क्रांतः कौशाम्ब्याः निष्कौशाम्बी निर्वाराणसी. Very simple, easy to understand. One who has gone out of Kaushambi, one who has crossed Kaushambi, or maybe one who has left Kaushambi. Ivena saha samaso vibhaktya lopaha purvapada prakritiswaratvam cha vaktavyam vasasi ivo. Why is Ivo mentioned here among the pradis? Because Ivo is a particle. So vasasi Ivo is a compound and not two separate words. Ivena saha samasaha. And then vibhaktyalopaha. Vibhakti is still written. So it is aluk samasa. Ivena saha aluk samasaha. And what is the advantage? Purvapada prakriti swaratvam cha vaktavya. Because of this samasa, Purvapada prakriti swaratvam takes place because this Ivo is a nipata and therefore it is adhyudatta. And for Ivo there is no different or independent accent. It is a part of the compound, but its accent is written because of this special mention of Purvapada Prakriti Swaratva here in this Vartika. Ivena Saha Samaso Vibhaktya Lopaha Purvapada Prakriti Swaratvam. So this is specifically meant for Vedic texts because it talks about accent. Pradi prasange karma pravachaniyanam pratishedo vaktavyaha. So pradis, oh yes, I forgot to tell you that pradis also belong to the fifth category, and that is karma pravachani. Though not some of them, though not all of them, only some of them, they appear in the list of karma pravachaniyas in different meanings. So here we have an example, Vruksham Prati Vidyotate Vidyut. So Vruksham and Prati, they are samartha with each other. Prati is a karma pravachaniya. And since Prati belongs to the list of pradis, there is every possibility of there being a compound between the two. But this Vartika rejects that compound. Pradi prasange karma pravachaniyana pratishedhu vaktavya. Karma pravachaniyas are the pradis among the karma pravachaniyas are not to be compounded. Whatever pradis are mentioned among the karma pravachaniyas should not be compounded. And then we have this, for prati we have the rule lakshana ektam bhutakhyana bhava vipsasu prati pari anavaha. So prati is there and pari also is there. And then we have this atirati kramanecha, also ati. And we have already seen that compounding has taken place between ati and stuta, where ati is taken by the commentators as a karma pravachani. And there is one more example where we have to accept it as a karma pravachaniya. Su perhaps. Su purushaha. And therefore Padamanjari remarks, Pratyadi Vishayascha Ayam Nishedhaha. Swatyostu Samaso Bhavatyevo. So this Nisheda does not belong to all karma pravachaniyas, all pradis in karma pravachaniyas. So in case of Su and Ati, Samasa does take place, as in Atistuta, and Su may be Sustuta. Yes, Sustuta is a karma pravachaniya, and Sushtuta is Upasarga. So only some karma pravachaniyas, such as Prati, they are not allowed to be compounded. So here we have a good example of Ardha Jaratiya. Vruksham Prati Vidyotate Vidyut, no samasa, Vruksham Prati. And Sadhur Devadattaha Mataram Prati. So here Prati in both the sentences conveys the meaning towards, that is Lakshana. So this is how we have finished this rule, the commentary on the rule Kubati Pradayaha. And now if you have no question, no remarks to make, then I would like to switch over to 1460 in Kashika. Earlier rules, as I already mentioned on my paper, they talk about nipatas and upasargas, but we are not concerned with them. Therefore, I would like to begin with rule number 60 from 1.4, which says Gatishcho. Gati Saudnyakasya Pradayaha Bhavanti, because in the earlier rule, Pradayaha is mentioned and it is continued in this rule. Gati Saudnyakasya Pradayaha Bhavanti Kriya Yoge. So both the words Kriya Yoge and Pradayaha are continued from the previous rule, which is Upasargaha. Pradayaha Upasargah Kriya Yoge. And then the examples of Gati are Prakritya, Prakrutam, and Yat Prakaroti. I have, did I give this? Anyway, Prakritya, yes, I have mentioned Prakritya on number 9 on my paper. So prakru tva. Pro is gati connected with kru, and we add the suffix tva, and then because it is gati by the rule kugati pradaya, there is a samasa. And when there is a samasa, by the rule samase nay purve ko lyap, tva is substituted by lyap, and we have prakrutya. So prakrutya is a samasa. It is also an avyaya, and it is also what you call a verbal derivative. But it is a samasa. And then we have prakrutam, the same way as in case of prakrutya. The only thing to be noted about prakrutam is the accent. It is gati which decides the accent of this word prakrutam, and the rule gatir anantaraha. Let me find out. Gatir anantaraha 6-49 says that karmanik tante uttarapade gatihi anantaraha purvapadam prakriti swaram bhavati. So when gati is followed by a karmanik tanta uttarapada, so we have krutam here. Kruta is a karmanik tanta uttarapada. In that case, anantara gati, immediately preceding gati, retains its accent, prakrutam. So gati pra is udatta, and therefore the following kru, ru in kru becomes swarita because of the rule udatta anudattasya swarita. So we have swarita on kru, as I have mentioned it here on the paper. I have shown it on the paper. So this is yet another advantage of gati saudhnya. Gati saudhnya decides the accent of a word. And then the third example, yat prakaroti, again shows some change in the accent, yat prakaroti. And here we have accent on the final ti. Actually, it is not accent, it is swarita, which is caused by the previous udatta. Prakaroti, pra anudatta, ka anudatta, and o in roti is udatta because this o is a modification of u suffix vikarana. So vikarana swara is written here. Otherwise, the whole prakaroti verb would have been sarvanudatta by the rule tinga tingaha. But because it is preceded by the particle yat, it changes its accent. And this rule, nipataihi yad yadi hanta kuvin nechan kachit yatra yuktam, says, this rule says, etaihi nipataihi yuktam tingantam anudattam na bhavati. So the original accent is written there, and by the paribhasha satishishta swara baliyastva, the vikarana swara finally becomes baliyan, and therefore there is accent on o, which causes the following anudatta to change into swari. Then further he says, yoga vibhagaha uttararthaha. Gatischa is a yoga vibhaga. He doesn't club this rule with the previous rule. He could have said upasarga gati kriya yoge. So he could have clubbed both the saunyas upasarga and gati in the previous rule 59, but he doesn't do so. He makes a separate rule gatischa because he wants the saudhnya gati to continue in the subsequent rules, yoga vibhaga uttararthaha, and he doesn't want the saudhnya upasarga to continue any further. Uttaratra gati saudhnaiva yatha syat upasarga saudhnya ma bhu. This is how he justifies the Yoga Vibhaga, and he gives the purpose of this Yoga Vibhaga with the help of a few examples. And then he further says, Uri syadityatra upasarga pradurbhyam astir paraha iti shatvam prasajyeto. In the next rule, Uryadi chvinachascha, Uri is mentioned and it is given Gati Saudnya by the next rule. Here, if we continue Upasarga also along with Gati, then the rule Upasarga Pradurvyam Astir Yash Paraha would be effective. And according to that rule, Sa changes into Sho. Upasarga Pradurvyam Astihi Yash Paraha. So Asti, here we have the form Syat of Asti. It would be Urishyat and not Urisyat. So this is a major difference between Gati and Upasarga. In Upasarga, whenever there is a nimitta for Murdhanya Bhava, cerebralization, it takes place, whereas if it is Gati, it doesn't take place. So we have Urisyat and not Urishyat because Upasarga is not continued in the following rules. Chakaraha Saudnya Samavesha. And at the same time, he says, Gatischa means Pradayaha Upasarga Saudnyascha Bhavanti Gati Saudnyakash. So both the Saudnyas, they are entitled to get Pradis. This is what is understood by the mention of the word Cha, and therefore he says Chakaraha Saudnya Samaveshartha. And the example is Pranitam. Pra, you can call it either Gati or Upasarga, and then it is followed by Nita. The original root is Niya, that is no padha. And here, because Pro is entitled to get Upasarga Saudnya, the rule Upasarga the Samase Pinopadeshasya applies here, and we have change of na into na, and thus the word pranitam is siddha. So upasargatvat atra nakarasya nakara. In case of abhishiktam also, abhishincha and th, and then there is this rule upasargat sunoti suvati stati stauti stauvati stha senaya sedasi sanjas sanjam, which again teaches murdhanya upasargat parasya sunoti etc etc. Sh changes into sh. Murdhanya is the predicate here, and thus we have abhishiktam. So upasargatvat atra shatvam bhavati. And then further gatiranantaraha iti swaraha bhavati. So in both the cases, pranitam and abhishiktam, upasarga causes cerebralization. Upasarga causes change of na into na and change of sa into sha. And gati saudnya causes swara. That is gatir anantara, as we have already seen, prakriti swaratvam. So pro and abhi, they retain their original accent. So he says, gatir anantaraha iti swaraha upasargat iti natva shatve cha bhavataha. Karika shabdasya upasankhyanam. Karika krutya, karika kutam. So karika is yet another word which is mentioned here, and it is by Vartika, it is given Gati Saunya. The word karika here is not used in its just excuse me, there is a cat at the I'm extremely sorry. My house is surrounded by so many cats and they come at any time and disturb me. Karika is derived from the root kru with the suffix nul, which is actually not taught by any Paninian rule, but by Vartika. I have, perhaps, did I show it here? No, I didn't. Anyway, there is a rule, Rogakhyayam nul bahulam, 33108, which is in this Triyam Adhikaras, Triyam 10. And the Vartika is Dhatvartha Nirdeshe nul vaktavya. So nul is added to a root in the sense of that root itself. Dhatvartha Nirdesha. So Karika, according to this derivation, kru, nul, and then naturally, since it is in Sri Pratyaya section, there is this feminine suffix top. So kar, ak, ta, and then pratyasthat kat purvasya atayadapya supah karika. Perhaps I must have, yeah, on the next page. Yeah, please. Palak, will you show the next page, please? I have shown the derivation of karika.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yeah.
Please, please.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Karika has many meanings in Rudi, in usage. It refers to some type of a verse, Karika itself. But here it is not used in any one of these senses. It is used in its purely etymological sense. And so Balamanorama interprets this word Karika Krutyo as Kriyam Krutva. So Karika simply means Kriya here. And this is what he says, Dhatvartha Nirdeshe Nul Vaktat. Karika Krutya, Karika Krutam. In both the cases, it is a samasa. Karika is, since Karika is called Gati, there is a samasa by Pugati Pradaya. Yat Karika Karoti, this doesn't sound a correct example. It should be Yat Karikam Karoti. Because there can be no samasa between Karika and Karoti. So Yat Karikam Karoti, this Yat changes the accent of, I think, no, he's right. Yat Karika Karoti. Because as just as an upasarga is connected with the root, this also is connected, yeah, Karika. Right. So Yat Karika Karoti, accent of Karika is retained, that is Adhyudatta. This is the advantage of Karika getting Gati Saudhya. Punaschanasau Chandasi Gati Saudhyo Bhavatah iti Vaktavyam. So this has a purely Vedic context. Two different particles are here, Punas and Chanas. Punaha and Chanaha. And the example is Punarutsiutam Vasodeyam. Again, it is the accent for which they are called Gati, because later on he explains Punarutsiutam Vasodeyam Gatir Gatau iti Nighato Bhavati. We have Punar and again Ut. Two Gatis are here. So Gatir Gatau iti Nighata. Gatau Parataha Gatihi. And then there is Sarvanudatta. So we have Sarvanudatta here, and the meaning is Utsyuta means stitched or woven. Punarutsyutam stitched or woven again, and it refers to some cloth. Punarutsyutam vaso deyam. I don't know the context. I will have to look into some shroud the text in order to find it. So gatirgato iti nigata bhavati, and then the other example is chano hitaha. So chanas is again a Vedic expression. A couple of meanings mentioned in the dictionary. One of them is food. It is not relevant here because it has to be gati. And the other one is satisfaction, happiness, delight. So chanohitaha, chanohita again has one single accent, though there appears to be two words. There is udatta on cho, and the rest is anudatta. So chanohitaha means perhaps, I mean, I really don't know how to translate it. Maybe some Vedic text which mentions it, we get some meaning there. Put or stayed in happiness, something like. So the next rule is uryadi chvidachascha. Uryadaya shabdaha chvantaha dajantascha kriyayoge gati saudnyaha bhavanti. So uryadi is a reference to a gana. Uryadi gane putitaha shabdaha. Chvantaha is a reference to all words ending in the suffix chvi. We are already acquainted with chvi, which is a swartika suffix from tadhita section. And it is used to convey, though it is a swartika, it belongs to the category of swartika, it is used to denote abhuta tadbhava, as the rule itself mentions. And then dajantaha, words ending in the suffix dach. Dach also is yet another swartika suffix which is mentioned in the same section dealing with chvi, and it also is added in the sense of abhuta tadbhava. Chvanta, dajanta and uryadi words, they are called gati. Chvidachoho krubvasti yoge vidhanam. Krubvasti yoge sampadya kartari chvihi is the rule 5450. Abhuta tadbhave krubvasti yoge sampadya kartari chvihi. And 5457 is the rule which teaches dach, avyaktanukaranat, dyajavarardhat, anitav, dach. So here also krubhasti yoge and abhuta tadbhave, these two words are continued. After we get the examples, it will be more clear. Tat sahacharyat uryadinam api taireva yoge gati savnya vidyayate or vidhiyate. So even in case of uryadi words, he says gati saudhnya is effective when they are connected with kruhu and asa. Because of the sahacharya nyaya, tat sahacharyat uryadinamupi taihi eva yoge, taihi nama krubvastibhihi yoge gati saudhnya vidhiyate. Uri uradi shabdau angikarane vistare cha. The first two words in the uryadi class, uri and urari, they convey the meaning angikarana, acceptance, and also vistar, expansion or extension. So uri kritam yad uri karoti, urari kritam yad urari karoti. So uri kritya means having accepted. Similarly, urari kritya also means the same, and the rest of the examples are now very easy to understand. And then he gives a list of all these words in uryadi gana. Papi, tali, atali, vetali, dhusi, shakala, samshakala, bhronsakala, bhronsakala, ete shakaladayo himsayam. So I did not consult dictionary in order to find the meanings of these words. I'm sorry, but that would take a lot of time, and then we will not be able to proceed further. So I leave all these things to you. You may try to find out meanings of each one of them. But he has given a meaning of groups. So he says, ete himsayam. So Shakala-kritya, Samshakala-kritya, Dvamsakala-kritya, and Brahmshakala-kritya simply means killing, liking, doing any kind of harm, hurting. Gulugudha Pidarthe. So Gulugudha is a very interesting word here. Gulugudha. I really don't know how it came into existence. Gulugudha, what is etymology? Which it conveys pida, giving pain or hurting. So Gulugudha Krutya means hurting or having hurted. Sajuhu Saharthe. Sajuhu is yet another word in Uryadi list. It means Saha, that is together. So Sajuh Krutya means being together or perhaps making friendship. Then further, Falu, Pali, Vikli, Akli, Iti, Vikare. All these words, they denote Vikara, that is change, modification. And thus we have Falu Krutya, Pali Krutya, Vikli Krutya, and Akli Krutya. Aloshti, Karali, Kevali, Shevali, Varshali, Masmasa, Masmasa, Ete Himsayam. It doesn't give examples, it just lists the words. So Aloshti Krutya, Karali Krutya. So they all denote some kind of himsa, killing, striking, hurting. Then Vaushat, Vashat, Shraushat, Swaha, Swadha, Bandha, Pradus, Shrut, Avis. Some of these are obviously Vedic words. They have some ritual context. Vashat, Vaushat, Shraushat, all of you know these are the utterances which are recited while performing yajna and while offering oblations to the fire. Similarly, Swaha and Swada. Bandha, I don't know, Pradus, Shruta, and Avis. So this is all about Uryadi class. And now he gives examples of Shvanta and Rajanta. So Chvanta Khalvapi, Shukli Krutya, Shukli Krutam, Yat Shukli Karuti. So again, very popularly used. These Chvanta forms are quite often found to be used in Sanskrit literature. So Shukli Krutya, yes, I remember one verse. Yena Shukli Krita Hamsaha, Shukasya Hariti Kritaha, Mayurash Chitrita Yena, Sate Vrittim Virasyati. This is a Subhashita. So this God Almighty, who has Shukli Krita Hamsas, he has made all these swans white. Shukasya Hariti Kritaha and Mayuraha Chitrita. He will look after you, don't you worry about your livelihood. This is what the verse says. So Shukli Kruta is mentioned there. Ashuklam Shuklam Krutva. Now look into the paper, I have given the derivation. Shukla Chvi Krutva. Then Abhuta Tadbhave Krubvasti Yoga Sampatya Kartari Chvi. Chvi is added. Then Shukla becomes Shukli by the rule Asyacho. And where Aprutasya Chvi completely disappears. And Samase Ne Purve Tolyap. So we have Lyap here, Shukli Krutya. Shukli Krutam Yat Shukli Karoti. The same as in earlier case. Dach. So Dach is added by the rule Avyaktanukaranat Vyajavarardhat Anitu Dach. Dach is a suffix which is added to a word which is Avyakta Anukarana, which is an imitation of an indistinct sound. Anukarana Shabda is a special category which very much appears in Panini's grammar, and they have no meaning apart from the sound. they convey only sound. They don't have any other meaning. So they are, kind of an example of, you can call them as onomatopoeia. It's just an anukarana, imitation of a particular sound. And even then there are words, and Panini gives vyakarana of them. And this takes me back to Patanjali, though it's a slight diversion from our context. I would like to mention it because it is something interesting and significant to note. Gahu ityatra ka shabdaha is the question asked by Patanjali in Paspashanika, which is the word in Gahu. And then he says kriya, etc., etc. And then further he gives two definitions of shabda. Yena uchcharitena sasnalangula kakuda kuravishaninam sampratyayo bhavati saha shabda. So shabda is that by uttering which we understand a particular meaning. So shabda is always arthavahi. So whatever is arthavahi, an utterance which conveys some meaning is shabda. And the next definition is, I forgot, do you remember? Yena uchcharitene sasna langula kukuda kuravishaninam sampratyaha bhavati sa shabdaha. And then dhvanihi shabdaha. Actually. So shabda is nothing beyond dhvani. I don't remember the exact sentence right now. Maybe later on it will appear by itself in my memory. But till then, dhvanihi shabda. So shabda is of two kinds in Panini's Ashtati. On this particular expression, later commentators have given very different interpretations, particularly of the different latter. Does anyone have Mahabhashya right now in his maybe computer online somewhere? You can find it from Paspasha.
What do you exactly want to check with Paspashanika?
I want to check the second definition of Shabda.
Okay.
I only remember Athava Dhvanim Kurvan.
Pratita padartha ko loke dhvani shabda.
Exactly. Thank you, Mahesh. Athava Pratita padartha ko lokesh dhvanihi shabda iti uchyate. Is it?
Yes.
Is it not so?
Yes, but it is still, I think, pratita padartha. I mean, it is not.
Yes, pratita padarthakaha loke dhvani shabda iti uchyate. And commentators like Kayyata take it to mean a sport. And they understand that it conveys meaning pratita padarthaka, but it refers to sport, whereas the earlier definition refers only to arthavahi shabda. And if we understand by the expression pratita padarthaka that the meaning of which well known is called shabda. What is the well known meaning of shabda is dhvani, because in the subsequent expressions, subsequent sentences, Patanjali says, Athva dhvanim kurvan evam aha shabdam ma kuru, shabdam ma karshihi. Somebody makes lot of noise, and when that noise is heard, no meaning is understood actually. It is only the dhvani. Even then we say shabdam ma kuru. So the word shabda is used to convey only sound. And thus, according to Panini, word is of two kinds, arthabodhaka and just sound. So here this anukarana is only sound, dhvani. And that also is here it is an imitation of some other sound, like sound of water dropping, or rainwater drops. These are anukarana shabdas. So this is a separate category of onomatopoeia, as I said, which belongs, I think, not only Sanskrit but to any other language also. Even Marathi and Gujarati and Hindi, they must be having their own, bulk of onomatopoetic expressions. we call marjara, we call mau because it makes a sound now. And you may find some better examples. I don't remember at this moment examples of onomatopoetic expressions, but there are quite a few. So this one also belongs to such words. And that is why Bhartrhari also defines Shabda as of two kinds. Gau upadana shabdeshu shabdau shabdavido vidu eko nimittam shabdanam aparaha arthe prayuchyate. So here also these two kinds of shabdas they are mentioned. So this is about anukarana. And an anukarana shabda takes the suffix dach in the sense of abhuta tadbhav, and when it is followed by krudhu or asa. So we have a word patat, which is an anukarana. Patat may be a sound made by maybe a raindrop or something. You can tell me how we interpret it, patat. And then patat krutva. So avyakta anukarana dvajanu varardha anitav dach. Dach is added to patat, and then there is a vartika which says dachi vivakshite dve bahula. So when dach suffix is to be added, the pratipadika to which it is added gets reduplicated. So we have patat patat a, and then there is a rule nityam amredite, not rule actually vartika, nityam amredite dachi iti vaktavyam. So there is a purva rupa, but before purva rupa takes place, there is T lopu, by the rule tehe. So we have pata and pata. So T is dropped. In the first pata, T is dropped, and in the second pata, because it is immediately followed by a. And in case of first pata, this ta and following pa, they are joined together in a purva rupa sandhi by the rule nityam amredite dachi iti vaktavyam. This is again a vartika. So this dach operation is dominated by vartikas. Panini gives only one rule, avyakta anukarana dvajavarada dantavdach. But otherwise, these vartikas, dachi vivakshite dve bahulam nityam amredite dachi iti vaktavyam. So amredite dachi pare purva parayoho, pararupam sat. It is not purvarupa because ta and pa both together take the form of pa, and thus we have pata pata. The second pa is the result of pararupa, and pata pata a becomes pata pata. So pata pata karoti, pata pata krutya, all these expressions, and here this pata pata is called gati, and therefore we have samasas like pata pata krutya and pata pata krutam, and also yet pata pata karoti. Next rule is adaranadarayo sadasati. Sorry. Anukaranam cha aniti param. Yeah. Itih paro yasmad iti bahuvrihi aniti. Aniti means that which is not followed by iti. It's a bahuvrihi compound. Anukaranam aniti param kriya yoge gati savnyam bhavati. Anukarana, which is not followed by iti, when it is connected with an action, semantically of course, is called gati. Anukarana shabdaha, but not followed by iti, as in case of patapata also. So there is an example, khat krutya. Khat is an anukarana, as patapata is also an anukarana. And khat krutya, khat krutam, yat khat karoti, as in earlier case also. This rule actually is meant to prohibit gati savjna when iti follows. Otherwise, all this can be explained by the previous. Khat krutya, khat krutam, yat khat karoti. Aniti param iti kim? Khad iti krutva nirashtivat. He vomited by saying heart. And there is a very funny kind of obscene verse. It is obscene by Indian standard. Perhaps Western scholars will not find anything obscene in it. I will just read it out. I haven't mentioned it on paper because I will be otherwise understood. So the Padamanjari gives this verse. Chumbana saktaha sosyaha chutamulam dashanam atmano vadane jifamula sprushtam khaditi krutva nirashtivat. So the something, and in this particular case it is the tooth, got stuck up near the root of the tongue, jifamula. And then when somebody doesn't want to swallow anything which is hard and which is stuck up in the at the root of the tongue, then naturally he has to vomit it by saying heart. So hard iti krutva nirashtivat. So here he mentions iti, and therefore there is no samas. Adaranadarayoho sadasati prityatishayah adaraha paribhavaudaasinyam anadaraha. So sat and asat are the words which are again called gati in particular sense, adara and anadara. Adara is here defined as prityatishaya, excessive respect or reverence. That is adara. And anadara is translated here as paribhavaudaasinya. Audasinya is indifference or apathy. Audasinya is not the same as we have it in our regional languages. In Sanskrit, it means indifference or apathy. And sometimes disrespect. And that is caused by paribhava. So somebody is insulted. Paribhava is insult. So due to insult or in humiliation, if somebody feels indifferent, that is called paribhavudasinya. So indifference caused by insult. That is the meaning understood from the word asat. So he simply gives examples. I very much wish Chandra gives some good examples with full sentences, but he simply gives satkritya, asatkritya. Satkrutam, asatkrutam, and yad asat karoti. And then further he says, adara anadarayoho kim satkrutva kandam gataha and asatkrutva kandam gataha. Again, the meaning is not very clear here because we really don't know how to translate the word kanda. According to dictionary, kanda means a section, a stem, a stalk, a group also. So satkritva kandam gataha could roughly mean somebody, he went away after satkritva. Sat means making it fine, beautifying it, maybe decorating it. And what was it? Kanda. So maybe the section or the part or the stem. So he decorated that maybe stick or stem, and then he went away. Similarly, asat krutva kandam gata. So making it impure, making or defiling it, he went away. Meanings of these expressions is always a problem. And you will find this word kanda mentioned many times in this commentary while giving pratyudaharanas. Bhushane alam. Alam iti pratishede samarthye paryaptau bhushane cha iti visheshanam upadiyate. Alam conveys four meanings. Pratishedha, rejecting or stopping somebody from doing something. Alam krutva. Samarthya, showing strength, power. A very well-known example is alam kartum alam aham. So I'm capable of doing it. Then paryapti is enough, or again fitness. Somebody is fit for doing something. Satisfaction or fullness. There is a sentence alam mallo mallaya, if you remember it well. So there are two wrestlers and they are alam, they are enough for each other, they are fit for each other. So that is samarthya actually. And paryapti means satisfaction or fullness. And finally, bhushana, decoration, ornamenting, something like that. So here he says bhushane yaha alam shabdaha saha gati savnya bhavati. So alam krutya alam krutam yad alam karat. In other meanings it is not called gati. Bhushane iti kim alam bhuktva odanam gataha. So alam bhuktva means he ate to his satisfaction. He ate sufficiently. He ate rice sufficiently and then he went away. Alam bhuktva odanam gataha. अंतर परिग्रहे अंतः शब्दः अपरिग्रहे अर्थे गति संज्ञा भवति. परिग्रहः स्वीकरणं. परिग्रह is again accepting. So the word antar is called gati when it conveys parigraha, that is acceptance, or in that context parigrahः स्वीकरणं तदभावे गति संज्ञा विधीयते. Antar as a prefix is interpreted, the dictionary gives the meanings of the word antar as middle, between, inside. So antarhatya, antarhatam, yad antarhanti. So antarhatya, striking in the middle. Commentaries also translate it as madhye hatva. So why they like this word hatha, I don't know. It is not necessary to always use hatya or hatha. You can say antaritya, antaha itya, itva, that is gatva. So standing in between, that is antaritya. Also could be another example. Aparigraha iti kim antarhatva mushikam shyano gata. So parigraha is taking something with himself, oneself. So antarhatva mushikam shyano gata. Here, this is an example of parigraha. Parigrihya gataha ityartha. So there is this bird shyana, a falcon or a hawk. He killed a female rat and took the rat with him, and then he went away. Parigrihya gata. Antah shabdasya ang kividhi natveshu upasarga savnya vaktavya. So antar is called upasarga when it is followed by a derivative with ang or ki, and also when natva is to be effected, because natva is a special province of upasarga. So it is not called gati but upasarga in these situations. So the first example of antar is here. It is antardha. I think I have shown it on my paper. Antardha is derived from dha preceded by antar, and by this vartika it is upasarga with the suffix ang, and again this suffix ang, which is taught by the rule atascha upasarge, is in perhaps the number I have given is wrong. Again it is in striyam. So we have to add tap. So antar, dha, ang, tap, and then a is dropped by the rule ato lopa iticha, antardha, and finally we have antardha. This suffix ang is taught or is added to dha because antar is upasarga. So therefore all these examples they show how antar is an upasarga, and the vidhis, the operations are also caused by upasarga. Antardhihi. Here also the root dha preceded by antar takes the suffix ki by the rule upasarge go kihi. So the same procedure, antardha ki, antardho i, atolopa, and finally antardhi. And sometimes we have this reduplication of the in, and thus we have antardhi by the rule achorabhyampi. And finally, antarnayati, antar connected with the verbal form nayati, and here simply by the rule upasargad asamase pinopadeshasya. There is an atva. So in all the three cases, it is upasarga which causes some grammatical operations. Antardha, antardhi, and antarnayati. And the next rule is kane manasi shraddha pratighate. So here we have two words, kane and manas. Kane shabdaha, manas shabdascho, shraddha pratighate, gati saudnyo bhavataha. And shraddha is explained in the commentaries as shraddha atyanta abhilasha. Shraddha is again excessive desire for something. And pratighata means nivrutti. Actually, pratighata means killing, warding off. So when you have an excessive desire for something, but that desire is calmed down, it is struck down, then we say it is shraddha pratighata. Both the words kane and manas, they are called gati when they are connected with a verb and together they convey shraddha pratighat. So somebody is having a strong desire, but that desire, perhaps because it is fulfilled and it is no more there. So the example is kane hatya payah pibati manu hatya payah pibati. So kane again is a particle expressing satisfaction of a desire. कणे शब्दः सिद्धांत कौमुदी says कणे शब्दः सप्तमी प्रतिरूपको निपातः अभिलाषातिशये वर्तते, and it further says manas shabdopi atraiva. So both the words kane and manas, they are nipatas and they convey abhilashatishay, excessive desire, and that desire is hatya, it is finally struck down. But it is struck down not by unfulfillment, but by fulfillment. So manohatya payah pibati means he drinks water to his heart's content, to his full satisfaction. आपण मराठीत म्हणतो ना, वीट येईपर्यंत खा, वीट येईपर्यंत अगदी आता नको पुरे असं म्हणायची वेळ येते, इतकं खायचं. दॅट इज कणे हत्य अँड मनुहत्य. तावत् पिबती यावदस्य अभिलाषो निवृत्तः. So he drinks or he eats so much so that his desire retires. Shraddha pratihata ityartha. Shraddha pratighat iti kim? Pratighate iti kim? Kane hatva gata mano hatva gata. Meaning is not explained. What is the meaning of kane hatva gata? I don't know. Mano hatva gata, perhaps we can explain. Kane, since it is the only meaning of this is a nipata saptami pratirupaka, meaning अभिलाषातिशय. मनोहत्वा गतः म्हणजे आपण मराठीत म्हणतो ना, मन मारून गेला तो. So he went away without his desire being fulfilled. Exactly opposite to Kane Hatyagata or Mano Hatyagata, Vayapigati. But again, I'm sorry, I cannot explain the meaning of Kane Hatva. Purovyayam. Asi pratyayantaha purashabdaha avyayam. Sagati saudhya bhavati. So puras is derived from the word purva with the suffix asi. Perhaps I have shown it on the paper. Yes. Purva asi. Purvadharavaraणाम asi puradhavashchesham. Saptami, Panchami, Pratamabhyah, Digdesha Kale. It is in the Vibhakti section, 5.3.39. So this suffix asi is added in the sense of either Panchami or Saptami or Pratama to the word Purva, and Purva is substituted by Pura. Asi and then Puradhavas Chaisham. Pur and Adha and Ava. These are the three substitutes for Purva, Adhara and Avara respectively. And thus we have from Purva Asi, Pur As and Puras. And this Puras is called Avyaya by the rule Tadhitascha Asarva Vibhakti, because Puras is used only in three Vibhaktis, Saptami, Panchami and Pratama. And therefore it is called Avyaya. This is how the word Puras, which becomes an Avyaya, is mentioned here, and it is called Gati. Asi pratyayantaha purashabdaha avyayam sa gati sagnyo bhavati samasa swara upacharaha prayojanam. Puraskritya, puraskrutam and puraskaroti. So because it is gati, there is no shatva, I think. What is the meaning of upachara? I forgot. Can anyone find it out in this grammatical dictionary? Upachara. Sakara upachara, yes. The same I said. Same as I said. Visarga changing into sakara is upachar. So purah karoti changes into puras karoti. This is upachar. And then swara, samasa swara is samasasya antodatta. Or you can say samasa is a prayojana, swara is yet another prayojana, and upachara is third. So three different prayojanas of getting gati saujna for puras. Avyayamiti kim purau puraha krutva kandam gata. Purau puraha. So you know, pur is a word which conveys a town or a city. So puraha krutva kandam gata. Sorry, I cannot explain the meaning. Purah krutva kandam gata. Making the cities a bundle, he went away. Something like that. Astam cha. Astam shabdaha makarantaha avyayam. Anupalabdhau vartate. Anupalabdhi is non-perception. Invisibility. Something anupalabdha means it is invisible. It is beyond the ken of eyesight. That is anupalabdhi. So astam shabdaha makarantaha avyayam anupalabdhau vartate sagati saudnya bhavati astam gatya savita punarudeti. Good. So here he has given for the first time, I think, we find a complete sentence. Astam gatya savita punarudeti. After setting, the sun rises again. Astam gatani dhanani. So the wealth has totally eclipsed, or it has gone beyond perception. It has disappeared, vanished. Yad astam gacchati. All the three examples of asta being gati and therefore being compounded. अव्ययम् इत्येव अस्तं काण्डं क्षिप्तम् इत्यर्थः. In the sentence astam kandam, astam is not an avyaya, but it is a verbal form derived from the root asa in the sense of asukshepane, throwing. So astam kandam means the stick or the stem has been thrown. It is thrown. Kshiptam ityartha, and therefore no gati samya. Accha gatyartha vadeshu. Accha shabdah avyayam. Abhi shabdasya arthe vartate. Accha is used in the sense of abhi, and abhi is used in the sense of abhimukhya, that is towards, in the direction of, facing. So gatyartheshu dhatushu vadatau cha gati saunyo bhavati. So here also another condition for accha being called gati, and that is it must be followed by a root conveying the meaning to go, or the root vada. So acchagatya, acchagatam, yad acchagachyati. Acchagatya means after having gone towards or going towards. Acchagatam. Achchagataha, it is better explanation. Went towards. Because acchagatam is a passive form and then very difficult to translate. It was being gone towards. Yad acchagachyati. All right. Vadatau. When the root vada follows. Acchodya. Accha vada ktva. And then there is a samprasarana. Accha uda. Lap. Acchodya. Acchoritam. Acchodya abhimukham uktva. Having said in front of. Having said facing something. Acchoritam yad accha vadati. Avyayam ityeva udakam accham gacchati. So accha also is an adjective, apart from being an indeclinable. It is also adjective, and it means clear, clean, pure. So jalam accham gacchati is the water is getting pure or clear or transparent. And then adon upadeshi. Adas shabdaha astyadishu pathyate. Saha, oh sorry, adas shabdas tyadadishu pathyate. Saha anupadeshe gati saunyo bhavati. Adas is a sarvanaman. It is mentioned among the tyadadis. It is called gati when it does not convey upadesha. And upadesha is parartha prayoga, addressing somebody else, para. That is upadesha. Upadesha parartha prayoga. Swayameva tu yada buddhya paramrushati tada nasti upadesha iti saha asya vishaya. So when he is referring to himself and not to anyone else, and buddhya paramrushati, he is thinking in his mind, then this word adas is used as a gati. Tada nasti, because then it is not an upadesha. You cannot address yourself. You can address others, but not yourself. And about yourself, you can only think about something in your mind, but you cannot call yourself and tell yourself something. This is not always true and not correct also in all contexts, because quite often you also might have experienced that there are two selves within everyone, and they always have a dialogue with each other. So they address to you as other. Adahkritya adahkritam yad adah karoti. So adahkritya, Padamanjari explains as etat kartavyam iti swayam alochya kritva. So adahkritya, in his mind, he decides that this is to be done. That is the meaning in adhakritya. So having done, after deciding or after thinking in his own mind. Adhakrityo. Adhakrutam, the same meaning, yad adhakaroti. Anupadeshe iti kim adhakritva kandam gataha iti parasya kathayati. So when he is telling somebody else that adhakritva kandam gataha, so there he made a section or a group and then he went away. I'm sure you know.
I don't know why they are so much fond of this kandam business.
Yes, exactly. That is why I said in the beginning that this is, stark poverty of examples. I always, I don't like these commentators, particularly for this reason. They don't give good, fresh examples. They don't even, imagine. No creativity. They don't bother. The same old kanda thing is repeated here. Adha krutva kandam gata. And they don't bother about what it means. Ati khatva. What does it mean? Ati malaha. Khatva appears somewhere in some example and they are repeating. Khatva rudha. Khatvaidapa. So, what I wanted to say is this. These three sarvanamas, idam, etad and others, how they are different from each other as far as their meaning is concerned is mentioned in one karika. I do not remember the whole, but I can tell you the part of it, and maybe Mahesh, if anyone else remembers the rest, you can tell. So it goes like this: idamastu sannikrishtam samipatara varti chaitado rupam adasastu viprakrushtam. And then the last line I don't remember. Anyone can make samasya purti, I wonder. So idam astu sannikrishtam. For a thing which is near, we use idam. Then samipa taravarti chaitado rupam. If it is still closer, then we use etad. Idam is for close, etad is for closer. But adas sastu viprakrishtam. Adas is used for a thing which is at a distance. So idam we can translate in English by the word this. Etad also by this. I don't know whether idam and etad can be very clearly distinguished by two separate words in English. I mean, if you know, please let me know. And others can be translated in English as that. So this and that, they certainly imply the distance. Adah krutva kandam kata. Kirontardhau antardhi vyavadhanam. Antardhi is some kind of an obstacle, intervention. So if that is intended, then the word tiras is called gati. Atra tiras shabdaha, tatra tiras shabdaha gati saudhya bhavati. Tiro bhuyo, tiro bhutam, yat tiro bhavati. It's a very well-known construction, tiro bhuyo. So, being invisible, hiding himself, being out of sight. Tiro bhuyo. Antardhau iti kim? Tiro bhutva sthitaha. Parshvato bhutva ityarthaha. So here the meaning of tiras is slightly different. It is not antardhana, but he is very much there. But instead of standing straight, parshvato bhutva, he stands by the side. Parshvataha. Or he stands, they also translate it as obliquely. He stands not straight but oblique, bends down. Tiro bhutva sthitah, parshvato bhutva ityarthah. Vibhasha krui. The same word tiras is continued here.
Okay, maybe
Yes.
should we stop here? It's already 6:30.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
It's already 6:30. I mean, if you
Last time I went on like a mad person and finally Talat had ended.
That's fine. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I did not finish it. I wanted that was actually my target today. I wanted to finish Gati Sujna and also Chandra.
Uh-huh.
Okay, then maybe next time.
Yeah, we can continue it on Saturday.
Yes, Saturday.
Yeah. Okay, good. So then I thank you, and I also thank all the participants. And so we'll continue this on Saturday as usual, and complete the the, the, the Gati matter here, and then the Chandra. Okay. So
Yes.
let's thank Professor Bhate for her lecture today, and have a nice week. And see you again on the weekend on Saturday. Yes. Okay. Bye bye to everybody.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, madam. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.